All right. Good morning. Going to go through some sex-linked traits. So we kind of talked a little bit a while ago, sometime last week. I can't remember what day, about doing the Punnett squares or the monohybrid crosses with gender. And so this is why that was important, because you need to be able to cross the X and the Y chromosomes with traits that are linked to those particular chromosomes, and those are called sex-linked traits. So, what they are conditions. Sometimes they're conditions, sometimes they're considered a disease or a disorder that is passed on your sex chromosomes or your X and your Y chromosomes. And actually, all of the sex-linked traits are carried on the X chromosome, not the Y. So, because of that, sex-linked traits are going to appear more frequently in males than in females, because the the Y chromosome that the males have doesn't cover up. It's like an automatic recessive allele, and so you can't really combat um, the having the recessive allele on your X chromosome. So normally, the way we've talked, in order to show a recessive phenotype, you have to have both recessive alleles. Well, except in the sex-linked traits instance, because with your sex-linked traits with males, they only need one copy of that recessive allele because the Y chromosome isn't going to cover it up. Okay, but females, however, in order to show that sex-linked trait, which, like I said, I don't know if I said it, but your sex-linked traits are recessive in nature. So in order for a female to have the sex-linked trait, she has to inherit both copies of the gene. Okay, so in general, the X chromosomes carry more genes than the Y. They're bigger, and so that's why they carry more genes. Women, like we said earlier, have two copies of the X chromosome. That's what determines whether or not you're male or female, and males will have one X chromosome and one Y chromosome. So oftentimes, women are not, they're not going to actually have the sex-linked traits, but they are oftentimes what we call carriers of that trait, meaning they don't show it, so they have at least one dominant allele, but they did receive the sex-linked trait from one of their parents. So it doesn't show, but they carry the gene, so they can pass it on. There are three types of sex-linked traits: baldness, hemophilia, colorblindness. We're going to look at all three and do some genetics problems. All right. So I don't have a way to get this to fly on like I normally would. So here's um, here's the problem. I'll read through it, and then we'll talk about the Punnett square or the monohybrid cross. I don't know if I've ever actually told you, Punnett square is just the informal name for a monohybrid cross. So color blindness is a sex-linked trait. I'll always tell you that. I'll say this is a sex-linked trait. So if a woman who is not colorblind and has both normal chromosomes marries a man that is colorblind, what is the probability that their first child will be colorblind? And then what is the chance that their first girl will be a carrier for that colorblind gene? So, so now we've got to go back and decipher what to put on top and what to put on the side. So if a woman who is not colorblind, so she's got at least one dominant allele right here. So we mark this as an X and an X. So here's mom, here's dad. Could you switch them and put dad up here and mom over here? Absolutely. So mom, we know, has at least one dominant allele because she's not colorblind. But it says here she's got both normal chromosomes, so that implies that she's not a carrier. She marries a man that is colorblind, so he's going to be an XY, and since he is colorblind, he's going to have that lowercase allele. I went ahead and put B's instead of C's because it's kind of hard to tell the capital C from the lowercase c. Then you're going to cross your X's and your Y's like we did before. So you've got 2 girls up here, 2 boys down there. Then you do a secondary cross. And you cross the actual alleles of the trait that you're wanting to cross. So in this case, it's going to be, you're going to drop this B over here, and you're going to bring this little b from dad over here. Okay, so that would be how you would cross that. Then you do the same over here. You're going to drop this b down over here, and this b is going to come over here. Okay, and then you cross again on the bottom. So you've got your 4 kids. So then you go to the question. What is the probability that their first child will be colorblind? So if you look here, both boys, if they were to have a boy, would have the normal quote unquote gene from mom, because that's all mom has to give, and dad, in order for them to be boys, dad was giving them the Y chromosome, and since colorblindness is not carried on that, the boys would not be colorblind. The girls, on the other hand, would not be colorblind. However, they would carry that one chromosome or that trait from dad. So they would have inherited, because that's the only X that dad can give. He doesn't have a normal allele to give. So, but mom does. So the girls would inherit the normal chromosome from mom and then the colorblind chromosome from dad. So they would both be carriers. However, there would be a 0% chance that their first girl would be a carrier for the colorblind. Oh, sorry, would actually be colorblind. But what's the chance that their first girl will be a carrier? That would be 100%. If they have a girl, she will 100% be a carrier. Now, there's a 0% chance that the girls will be colorblind. So it kind of goes into this question. I guess I didn't fully answer that. Was the probability that their first child will be colorblind? 0, because none of their kids are going to be colorblind. 2 of them can pass it on, but they won't actually be colorblind. So now we've got hemophilia. Again, I'll always tell you, hemophilia is a sex-linked trait. I won't expect for you to remember that. So if a woman that is a carrier for hemophilia marries a man that has hemophilia, what is the chance that their first child will have hemophilia? And there's a whole bunch more questions. So we'll start with that one first. So woman is a carrier for hemophilia. So she's got one quote-unquote normal allele and one that carries hemophilia because she's a carrier. She doesn't actually have hemophilia. The man has hemophilia, so he's got the gene, that lowercase gene. We go ahead and cross everything. So mom's dominant allele comes here. Dad's recessive allele. Mom and dad's recessive allele comes here. Mom's here, the Y's across, and then mom's H here. So that's the cross. What is the chance that their first child will have hemophilia? This kid right here in the upper left isn't going to have hemophilia because they have one dominant allele or one normal allele. This boy down here has a normal allele for hemophilia, so he will not have it. This daughter right here inherited both hemophilia genes from mom and from dad, so this child will have hemophilia. This kid right here, all mom had to give was her hemophilia gene, so this boy would have hemophilia. So what is the chance that their first child will have hemophilia? 2 out of 4, or 50%. What is the chance that they will have a daughter with hemophilia? So looking at the 2 girls here, as we don't care about those down here, this girl won't have hemophilia. This girl will. So it's a 50% chance that they're going to have a daughter. Now, I guess I should reword that. There's a 50% chance if they have a daughter that she will have hemophilia. I guess the way it's worded, I didn't think about this. Sorry. What is the chance they will have a daughter with hemophilia? Well, you have a 1 in 4 chance. Now, if I had specifically said, what is the chance that their first daughter will have hemophilia, that would be 50%. But as it's written, my apologies, it actually should be a 1 in 4 chance, or a 25% chance that their first kid's going to be a daughter with hemophilia. So what's the chance that they will have a boy with hemophilia? It's only this kid right down here, so again, it's a 1 in 4 chance that they're going to have a boy with hemophilia, or 25%. Last one, baldness. Baldness is a sex-linked trait. If a woman that is not bald, but her father was bald, marries a man that is not bald, what is the chance they will have a child that is bald? And by the way, baldness on women isn't like baldness on men. Usually baldness on females means you just have very, very thin hair. Like extremely thin hair. You still have it, but you can tell that it's not very thick. So a woman is not bald. So she definitely has at least one normal gene. Her father was bald. So that means that she had to get that baldness gene from her father. That's the only way, because dad only has one X chromosome. So we know that she's a carrier for baldness at that point. Then you look at the man who's not bald. So we know he has a dominant allele. You do your cross like so. What is the chance that they will have a child that is bald? So we look here. This girl right here in the upper left corner, she's got 2 normal alleles, so she's fine. This girl right here has 1 copy of the normal gene and 1 copy of the bald gene, so she's a carrier, but she doesn't actually have it. This boy down here, he got the normal allele from mom, so he's okay. This boy right here received the bald gene from his mom, so he will be bald. He will eventually go bald, sadly. So they have one kid out of 4 chances. So the chance that they're going to have a child that is bald is a 1 in 4 chance, or a 25% chance. What is the chance that they will have a daughter that is the carrier for baldness? And that would be just this girl right here, so 25% chance. If I asked you what is the likelihood that they're going to have children that are not bald, that would be a 75% chance, because this kid, and that kid aren't going to be bald. So this is why, if you've ever heard the expression or the phrase, if you want to know if you're a boy and you want to know if you're going to go bald, you need to look at your mom's dad. So this boy right here just needed to look at his mom's dad. Her dad was bald, which means she had to have gotten that bald. She inherited that bald gene, which means that he's got a chance that he's going to be bald. Now, if grandpa, her dad was not bald, then both boys would be in the clear. So, unless grandma, her mom, passed on a gene, but that's not as, usually that doesn't happen. So, but this is sex-linked traits. So, tomorrow you'll have a worksheet that kind of goes over, we'll add these into it, to your arsenal of Punnett squares. And then Thursday, we're going to talk about pedigrees, where we can track things like baldness through generations or other diseases through generations. It's actually quite fascinating, so hopefully you'll like that. But if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and hope you have a good day.